How to know if I don't love myself. 7 signs of self-dislike. Have you ever thought about your attitude towards yourself? What does this alarming diagnosis, "I don't love myself," mean? The fact is that your well-being in any sphere of life depends on your relationship with yourself. If something isn't going well in your family or at work, if your health or finances are failing, it's likely that you have serious problems with self-love. Self-dislike is very insidious and can hide behind seemingly wonderful human qualities such as constructive self-criticism, normal self-esteem, adequate self-perception, kindness, flexibility, altruism, striving for self-improvement, and more. Sometimes it's very important to stop, take a step back, look at yourself from the outside, and ask, am I really okay? Or do I not love myself? In this article, we will look at 7 obvious and hidden signs that indicate problems in your relationship with yourself. We will also discuss real-life examples of how they manifest in our lives. Sign 1. I don't love myself if I try to be a good girl for everyone. Probably each of us heard something like this in childhood. Be a good girl, and then you'll get treats. If you're bad, boys won't like you. You need to compromise so that people will be friends with you. Behave well to please teachers and other children, and so on. The good girl complex is a glaring sign of self-dislike. A good girl doesn't think about herself, sacrificing her interests and desires for the sake of others. The fear of appearing bad to someone keeps her within bounds, not allowing her to be herself and enjoy life. Sign 2. I don't love myself if I'm ready to build a relationship with the first person I meet just to avoid being alone. It's normal to fear loneliness. But when this fear drives you to form relationships with unsuitable people, it's a red flag. The main thing is not to be alone, is the motto of a woman who doesn't love herself. This panic fear of loneliness is passed down from generation to generation. Personally, I often witnessed adults talking about how terrible it is for a woman to be without a man. Surely, you have also heard something like, "Let him drink, at least you're not alone." It's not a big deal if he raises his hand sometimes, at least there's a man in the house. It'll grow on you, and it's more fun together. You need to hold on to him, you're not young anymore, and you have baggage. There are many examples of toxic relationships created solely because a woman was terribly afraid of being alone. Sign 3. I don't love myself if I'm biased against my own successes. Self-dislike distorts the perception of one's own successes. If you never praise yourself for a job well done and only endlessly search for flaws, there's cause for concern. A woman who doesn't love herself constantly scolds herself for mistakes, comparing herself to others, takes praise with skepticism, often seeing good words as mockery, doesn't share her successes and achievements with loved ones, considering her accomplishments insignificant. Such an attitude towards one's achievements has nothing to do with the infamous perfectionism and healthy self-criticism. It's a clear sign of self-devaluation. In real life, a biased attitude towards oneself and one's successes is a common phenomenon. When a woman doesn't think positively about herself, she cannot appreciate her merits, not only in work but also in life in general, In household chores, relationships with a man, children, friends. She doesn't tell herself, "Well done." Instead, she scolds and criticizes her actions with enviable regularity. Have you noticed this sign of self-dislike in yourself? Then start correcting it. Begin to praise yourself even for the smallest achievements and victories. At first, it will feel unusual, uncomfortable, and strange, but soon the new habit will start to bring you pleasure. Self-praise will awaken incredible energy and a desire to live. Sign 4. I don't love myself if I constantly seek approval from others. The thirst for approval is a litmus test for self-esteem issues. An insecure woman who doesn't accept herself often seeks validation of her worth from the outside. She's not sure she's beautiful, smart, successful, and good at something until others tell her so. And the more people approve of her, the better she feels. I was once such a girl seeking approval myself. Sign 5. I don't love myself if I chase perfection and endlessly adjust my appearance. There is no limit to perfection, is how some women justify their self-dislike. There is nothing wrong with a healthy desire to become the best version of oneself. But sometimes this aspiration goes beyond reason and becomes an unhealthy obsession. If a woman endlessly reshapes herself, loses weight, changes her appearance, but still remains dissatisfied, it is a clear sign of self-dislike. When a woman doesn't love herself, she doesn't see her beauty, doesn't notice her merits. She is focused on her flaws. Many girls, unable to accept their bodies, furiously lose weight, driving themselves to anorexia. They can't stop and hate their reflection no matter how slim it is. They didn't love themselves at 90 kg, and they won't love themselves at 45 kg. Appearance is an unplowed field of self-esteem issues. To work through them and accept oneself, a lot of effort is needed. This process can be significantly accelerated by engaging in special methodologies that I will discuss in upcoming videos. Sign 6. I don't love myself if I settle for less and don't strive for more. From childhood, we were convinced that we should be content with little and not demand more. Many carried this rule into adulthood, ceasing to strive for better. Agreeing to less in work and even in relationships with loved ones is another indicator of self-dislike. How can such contentment with less manifest in reality? For example, at a new job, you were promised a salary of $100,000, but they pay $70,000. Yet, you meekly accepted the situation and continued to work. Less, but stable. Here's another life story of self-dislike. Sign 7. I don't love myself if I regularly compare myself to others. If a woman doesn't love herself, she tries her best to conform to societal ideals, even those far from her inner state. Therefore, she endlessly compares herself to other beautiful and successful women. She is in constant tension. She fears being worse than someone else and worries that someone will reproach her for not meeting society's requirements. Her entire life is built around comparing herself to other women. She's prettier, slimmer, sexier than me. She's smarter than me. Her work is more talented. She's more successful. She earns more than I do. Her house is bigger than mine, and her car is more expensive. She has better hair and clothes. She has happier relationships. Her man loves her more than mine loves me. Her children attend a better school. She travels more. A woman who doesn't love herself always contrasts the successes of others with her own achievements. And when she sees that she's inferior in something, she falls into despair. She may not show that she's disappointed in herself, but her inner voice will eat away at her. I'm worse than others, and for that, I don't love myself. The result of such comparison with others and the final sign of self-dislike is envy. If the successes, joys, and achievements of others cause you unpleasant feelings, it means you don't believe in yourself and don't value yourself. These are the 7 main symptoms of the dangerous diagnosis, I don't love myself. Of course, there are many other alarm bells. But if at least one of the listed points resonates with your condition, it's urgent to work on your relationship with yourself. Determine how serious your problem is and start solving it today. I understand like no one else how difficult and even painful it is to admit to yourself that you really don't love yourself. But this is the very moment of truth that opens your eyes to everything happening in real life. Share in the comments if you found signs of self-dislike in yourself. If so, which ones and how do they manifest?